Yeah. Okay. So the design abstract has a long and sordid past. Like, am I using that word right? SORDID. I'm not going to check. Anyway, we have a long history of member changes, specifically ones that join very briefly and then leave. Um, the reason that I was thinking about this is because the new album, Constructs of an Unseen Algorithm, it's coming along pretty nice. And the other day I did a whole bunch of drum humanization. And the thing that makes it drum humanization is that these songs are ridiculously technical. And my goal is still to try to make it playable, but the question is by whom? Because I used to just program it the way I would play it, and I could, giving me the benefit of the doubt, I could play it like technotheism. I could play those songs. I did play Deus Est like in practice a couple times. Um, Obviously, I stopped doing that. I don't when I wrote Transhuman. Well, when we recorded Transhuman, at least I didn't even have a drum set in the house. And now I definitely don't. I'm just writing things that I think sound good and that fit the music. But somebody can play it. And the thing that I was thinking of is like, okay, if I get shit for the fact that these drum parts are really stupid and complicated, like I could pay a session drummer to do this, and I've talked to one, and he's confident that he can do it, but it's like, am I going to shell out hundreds or thousands of dollars just because some nerd on the internet is like, actually, and like that person would be me too. So while I would love to hire a session drummer, the reason for it would just be more creative fills and a different take on how I would do the drums. The quality of it too, but of course, when you're getting into like super technical stuff, it doesn't matter as much because more of it's going to be sampled anyway, especially at these speeds. Like we're pushing almost 250 on this album, and at that point, like it's going to be predominantly sampled anyway, and it's not like you can do super creative stuff, which is so yeah. I would love it, and that was actually the plan. Then there were more songs, and then I ran out of money, and I'm poor, and what have you. So that's the reason I was thinking about this, and I think it would be very funny to just contact a session drummer, have him listen to the album, and just like, hey, sign off on this. Can you play this? Like, yeah, I could play it. Great. Drummer approved. It's fine. If someone can claim they can play it, then that's fine. This is how my brain works. Yeah. So Design Abstract has had a lot of drummers. Of course, if you don't know, the context of this is that I used to play drums. For many, many years, I played drums in a lot of metal bands. So when Design Abstract first became a thing, I wanted to make it a full band, and I tried really fucking hard to play guitar in my band. And like, there was just, okay, so when we first started out, the first lineup of people, we had a drummer named Greg who's like pretty big in the local scene, and that's like the Metropolis music video. That was him on drums, and we did some practices, and I actually got to play guitar and do vocals. And then him and the bassist then left, and that's fine. He's in a lot of things, and okay, the thing I was thinking of we'll get to later. And so down the line then, when we played our first show, we didn't have a drummer, so I was on drums. I did drums and screams for fucking Apotheosis and Relentless. It was very dumb. And we had a bunch of different ones, like Mark Swan, who did like the liturgy drums. So he was in the band for a little bit. He learned like Apotheosis and Metropolis and a bunch of them, but like it wasn't for him. We had a guy named Dan. The Emanate music video, that was Chris, and I don't even think he was in the band otherwise. He just learned that song just for that music video. Because in that era, I was the one doing the drums, but I didn't want to do the drums in the music video. Like, that's literally it. I'm just like that petty. yeah. And then who else? I don't know, man. It's so complicated. And then of course, and so then later on for like Technophage, we had Michael. And like we did practice a bunch with Michael. And the thing is, Michael is an amazing drummer. And like if you know our band, you probably know his bands as well, or at least one of them. Because he's also like in symphonic metal scene. And great drummer, really great dude. He just really wants to play shows, right? And we kind of don't. And like, I think he could tolerate our workflow like to a degree, but really he wants to be out like playing the drum kit. I don't think he really cares like who can claim to play this part and can't, like what I was doing earlier, right? Because we're such an album focused band, and he was fine to like write the drum parts, but we weren't playing them and we weren't planning on playing them, and I think that's kind of where he was at. So yeah. And with guitarists and I guess bassists, we're at it, like with that typically, because again there's been a lot of people, it's more creative differences. I think people go into it not knowing how tyrannical I am, how it's not a democracy. In other bands that they've been in, they had the local band syndrome where nobody could say no. And I'm not like that. I'll just fucking say no. And like the thing is, you present me a riff that's super amazing and it's the best thing you've ever written, and it's like, no, it doesn't fit the vibe. And it's like, what do you mean? What the fuck is the vibe? And it's just define the vibe. you can't. It's just what I say, and I don't care how good it is, how good it sounds. If it doesn't fit the aesthetic and the feel of the band and the song, it's gone. And like that's really annoying for people. And like I also tell you what to play and when to play it most of the time, and I'll give you like a little creative liberty here. You can play whatever you want unless I veto it, and then you have to write it again. As I've said before, I don't know how Logan tolerates me. And now like Nemesis is playing bass, and I'm pretty sure it's been like an ordeal for him as well, because yeah, that's literally what the workflow's like. I'm really annoying, and I think that's my best guess as to what the factor is for how many like guitarists and like bassists that we've had, like they join up for a bit and then I think they realize that the way that the music sounds is because of the way that I am. Again, people listen to the music and they're like, wow, you can just throw anything in there and you never know what you're going to get. And it's like, no, like that was not intentional. And I've actively worked to make it not like that. And so you can't just show up with like random fucking ideas and like, no, sorry. Like I have such a specific vision for what's going on with this. And with the drummer thing, I don't think it's as much of that, but it's definitely not easy too, because I had played drums for so many years that I knew exactly precisely what I wanted, right? And you couldn't really say, oh, I can't play that, because if your vocalist can sit down and play it, then you can fucking play it. And like that was the thing with like Greg left partway through recording Emanate. So he recorded the title track, he recorded Emanate, and then I think he also recorded what was that song? Oh my god. It's also the name of a movie, the Event Horizon. I've never seen that movie. He also recorded Event Horizon, and then he tried to tackle like Metropolis and Lotus and was like, I'm out. This is fucking impossible and I've got better things to do. And so I'm like, great. And so I tracked them, and that kind of sucked. But if your vocalist can do that, you're kind of in an awkward position, because most bands, if someone wrote something that was stupid and they're like, yo, that's not playable. And it's like, well, when you've got this asshole here, then yeah, it is. Yeah. I think that's it. And it's also just like, we have a shit ton of drive, but not for playing shows. Like, we have a shit ton of drive to finish music. We do all of the unsexy, unfun, boring things, right? We sit in front of the computer, we sit at the studio, we like meticulously go through takes and editing and stuff. All the stuff that like the type of local dude who just like, fuck yeah, wants to just be out there rocking the fuck out, dude, like, is not about. Obviously. I think that's a lot of it combined with the creative differences. Yeah. And then, yeah, the vocalist thing is a whole other. I don't know if I've ever gone on record about this. So, twice this band has had it where the female clean vocalist of the band is also the girl that I'm dating, and we break up partway through recording a release. If I had a nickel for every time that happened, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Or is it a dime? I don't know. Yeah, so like that's awkward, right? And I don't know, because so here's the thing. So obviously, the first vocalist was Nina. She was on Emanate. She did a great job. Her voice fit it really well. We broke up. She didn't finish the record. All of the harmonies the producer had to just create from B takes and auto-tune, which is why it sounds super robotic. Yeah. And then we had Danny for a while, and Danny's also like fucking great, amazing singer. I think it's the same thing where we have like a relentless workflow, and with her it's sort of more like she's going to do what she feels fits the vibe type of thing. And so I think it's really hard to just see how quickly we like go through these songs and it's like, hey, here's your parts, go. And it's like, I get it now that I'm like actually a singer, that it's hard to fit clean vocal process into how we did our workflow. And I'm just lucky that I'm in charge of the band, so I can just structure it around how I want to do stuff. Yeah. And then for Esoteric, we had Alex, who was also going to do technotheism. So interestingly enough, there exists demos for Apotheosis on technotheism with Danny's vocals, Alex's vocals, and my vocals. Obviously, those are the ones that were there. Really interesting to hear the differences. Yeah, and several people have asked if, like, you know, because obviously I'm with Alex now, that is the wife of my child, why I don't have her in more records, which kind of annoys me because we have a singer. Hello. You know, I'm just a little salty about that, and just like, oh yeah, you're doing the vocals. So anyway, when are you getting someone else to do the vocals, dude? Like, I don't know how it could be construed any other way. But the thing with Alex's vocals is she's very feel based. She doesn't have any theory. If I tell her to like sing an arpeggio, like a minor arpeggio, oh, this part's just a minor arpeggio. Like, no, like with Danny, yeah, because we met in university, in music school. So we're on the exact same wavelengths as far as like music theory goes and whatever. But Alex just does it by feel. She just does whatever she wants. She can't sing to a reference track, and she also, I mean, she can, but she hates it. She doesn't like when there's like another thing going, which means that doubling, tripling, quadrupling her vocals are fucking impossible. Like, Esoteric was a very raw, gritty, noisy release. So I was able to use her voice that was very sharp, pointed, and belty. And it was just single tracked, maybe double, but it was like run through distortion, right? And that's not the normal vibe. And so when we have a vocalist who can like literally do 15 layers of vocals all perfectly on time and knows what a parallel third harmony is and knows what a pedal tone is, and that's me. Even if my voice isn't as inherently nice as hers, mine fits the workflow better because, again, I'm in charge of the band. And also because I can hear a thing, I can quad track it, I can track the harmonies, and like everything will be where it needs to be, right? And with Alex, it's like, no, you're getting what you're getting. Harmonies are like, no, like what I did for harmonies in that album most of the time was just like make a pedal tone. So like I would just do her take and then just like run it through Sound Toys little altar boy, so it just like robotizes on one pitch, and then just hope she doesn't sing the unison. And she's a great vocalist, and like her voice sounded really cool on that album, and it sounded really cool in the Long Earth Theory stuff. But even with this new album for Constructs, I'm stripping down the vocals, and that still means like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 9 layers of vocals instead of the normal 10 to 15 for cleans. Triple tracked main take, and then 2 harmonies, and then maybe 2 unison head voice, and then maybe a pedal, is what it is now, or maybe a little less. Whereas before it was like more stupid than that. And there's no way in fuck Alex is going to be able to do that. Like, she's not going to be able to just take these songs that, again, she didn't write, that usually she's making up on the spot, and track it 15 times identically. It just doesn't work for the workflow. So that's why. And it's also because I want to sing in my fucking band. Like, what if you don't like it, don't listen to it. I get to make that call because I'm the one making the everything. Yeah, sorry. Kind of annoys me when people ask that. Yeah. I think that covers Design Abstract lineup changes. The new album doesn't have a drummer, same as all of them. And that's my reasoning why, even though it's like super ridiculous and technical. I have a session drummer lined up, and I think I might actually get a quote from him. But really it's going to come down to, yeah, I can play those songs. It'll cost you $1,600. And it's like, it sounds fine now. It sounds pretty good. If you listen to it, you'd be like, wow, sounds pretty good already. Like, yup. I think it'd be interesting to have, especially some of like the really tom and fill heavy parts, to have someone's brain who isn't mine to flesh those parts out. I think that'd be very cool. But would it be worth that much money? Like, no, it just wouldn't. The fact that we can do all this stuff in-house is the only reason this shit exists, because you cannot fathom how much I would pay in studio time if I went to a studio for every release that I make. Like, I would be beyond bankrupt, because these releases don't make money. Like, here's the thing. If you want a real drummer on a Design Abstract album, get every person you know to buy it so that we don't lose money this time, because we're gonna. It's truly a labor of love, and we're probably gonna spend money on promotion, even though I don't really want to. We're not going to make that money back. So like, and I used to just do it. Emanate cost me thousands and thousands of dollars. And that was just like this needs to be perfect. And it wasn't. It sounds like ass. And also I didn't really know how to do it. Only kind of knew how to do it. But I was just like, no, like this is my hobby. This is my thing. But I had disposable income then. And I don't now. Like I'm so fucking broke, man. So yeah, that's it. Yeah. Design Abstract lineup changes. We're not going to have a drummer. That's why.